Basi tunarejea kwa Muungano Kwaya watupatie wimbo wa mwisho na kisha twende kwa orchestre Lewanyika tena. Muungano Kwaya.
Wana Kenya wote tunashangilia, sote tunaimba kwa furaha tele, twapaza sauti za upendo, amani, umoja. Twapaza sauti za upendo, amani, umoja. Mkono kwa mkono tuungana mbele ya wale wanaoamini uongozi bora ni baraka yake Mwenyezi Mungu. Uongozi bora ni baraka yake Mwenyezi Mungu. Ngoma na tucheze, vinanda tupige, filimbi na zeze, tunashangilia. Ndege wanaimba, wanyama wacheza, ni mshangilio.
Sote twaimba kwa furaha, sote wana Kenya, ni umoja tunahubiri, tujenge bara letu. Sote twaimba kwa furaha, sote wana Kenya, ni umoja tunahubiri, tujenge bara letu. Umoja wa Mwafrika ni nguvu ya Mwafrika. Umoja wa Mwafrika ni nguvu ya Mwafrika. Raisi wa Kenya, hongera kwa uongozi timamu wa nchi yetu Kenya. Raisi wa Kenya, hongera kwa uongozi timamu wa nchi yetu Kenya. Thank you very much for inviting me here. My name is Engineer Crispin Cody. I'm a mechanical engineer. You would wonder what is the connection between mechanical engineering and music. Yeah, music and singing is my passion. I started singing all the way from primary school, but I'm an engineer, I'm a mechanical engineer, trained, qualified. I've worked in the industry for many years, but all that long I have been singing. So if you ask me how many years have I been singing, I might not even be able to tell you exactly, but for where I am, I've been here with the same choir for 44 years. And this choir is called Muungano National Choir. The Muungano National Choir was born from a Nairobi mass choir. First, when the first president of the Republic passed on in 1978, 4 choirs came together and sang at the burial of the late President Jomo Kenyatta. These choirs were Our Lady of the Visitation Catholic Church, Jogoo Road, St. Stephen's, Jogoo Road, St. Andrews, near State House, and University of Nairobi. So after singing at the burial, which is at the mausoleum at Parliament, about 1 month later, President Moi wanted a choir, and so the church choirs in Nairobi formed a choir which was mass choir from all mostly from various denominations from Nairobi, and it was a choir of 1,250 members. That is the choir which sang at Nairobi State House on 30th of September 1978. A year later, during the first memorial service at KICC, The choir of 1,250 was trimmed down to quartermass choir. And the quartermass choir was composed of 450 members, which sang at the first memorial service conducted at the plenary hall of KICC. It was then that later on President Moi required a choir that would be manageable to go across the country to sing during major events in the country. The choir was then trimmed down again to 250 members. When the choir was 250 members, the choir took the first trip ever from Nairobi, where all members were thrilled to be ferried out of Nairobi. And you know where that was? That was Machakos.
Machakos.
And everybody was very happy leaving Nairobi to go and sing in Machakos, a 250 member strong choir. The following year, the choir was charged with entertainment at the Mombasa Agricultural Show in 1979. So the choir was trimmed down again. But before we could go to Mombasa, other members, church choir members, left Muungano, left the choir, because it was still called quartermass choir. So when other members left, we remained few churches, and we had no name. We could not call ourselves quartermass choir. That is how the founding director, the late Honorable Boniface Muganga, sat down with this small team to find out or receive suggestions as to what should we call, what should be the name of the choir. So few of us who were there, we suggested that this is a collection of choir members from various churches from Nairobi. Why can't we call it Muungano ya choirs ya Nairobi? Basi tukaita Muungano Choir. That was in 1979. So Muungano Choir was born in 1979. Came 1980, Muungano National Choir was instrumental in propagating the patriotic songs to bring the country together, bring the nation to give the message that befits occasions in the country.
So how would you describe the president then, reception towards the choir? Because
The late President Moi?
Yeah, President Moi.
President Moi loved music because he used to tell us that there is no any other way that you can express yourself, especially when you are an African, if it is not through music. You can express yourself to any audience through music, and the populace will be there to listen to you. So he then decided to have a choir that could traverse the country and spread and articulate issues to the populace at every given time, no matter under any circumstances, the choir was there to be the one leading the message to reach the ears of the populace.
And how was the public's reception at that time
It was
of the
marvelous.
choirs?
And the achievement of Muungano National Choir as a choir historically, we have perfected on patriotic songs. Patriotic songs about where we came from, where we have reached, and where we are going. And these patriotic songs have really been instrumental for us as Kenyans to understand where we have come from and where we want to go to.
That one, it is indeed true, because we know that most of the patriotic songs that are still being sung, like nearly 60 years later or 40 years later,
Yes.
made by the choir, they are still played in all the national events, and that was evident in your invitation to perform at the 60th anniversary of Kenya's independence. So how was that to the
To
group?
us, we were so grateful because we call this an achievement for our nation. It is not only Muungano National Choir which sings patriotic songs, but through Muungano National Choir, many other groups sprang and they also sing patriotic songs. But to the audience, maybe even as many as they are, the audience still has an ear for Muungano National Choir. So when we are invited, then we become delighted to contribute to our nation.
Because you can see, we know that the choir is contributing to the national agenda,
Yes.
because on the aspect of cohesion, if there's one thing that unites Kenyans is the music that you produce. And maybe you can take us through your production process. Maybe you can tell us about how it was at that time. Was it hectic doing music at that time, or is it this time?
At that time, we started when there were no many choir masters around. But through the music organizations then, and with the help of a choir that was able to traverse the country, a lot of interest in music was developed from Muungano National Choir, and that is what inspired the late President Moi to create a whole school of music at the Kenyatta University. People used to learn music, but until the time that President Moi was so inspired in what Muungano was doing, he said at one time that this is an art that can be resourceful for employment for the youth. And that is how the School of Music was developed at the Kenyatta University. It is after Muungano National Choir was born that the Presidential Music Commission was started in 1982. And with that, the leadership of that commission was also basically part of the leadership of Muungano National Choir. Okay. And later on, in after 1980, 1990s, the idea also sprang from those who were leading Muungano National Choir under the chairmanship of Professor Washington Omondi to inspire the president to start a whole commission, a permanent presidential music commission. And the first chairman became Professor Washington Omondi, and committee members, the first committee members became the late Dr. Kimoli, the late Dr. Zenoga Zake, the late Mwalimu Peter Kibukosia, the late William Wasike, the longest serving chairman of Muungano National Choir then, and with Boniface Muganga being the secretary of, who was the director of Muungano National Choir, became the first secretary of the PPMC. So Muungano has been an instrumental institution. And so we are in Muungano as an institution.
Beautiful, very beautiful.
44 years down the line.
44.
44 years down the line. I was part of the founder
Founding.
members, and today I'm here as a leader in Muungano National Choir.
Very nice. So now that we are talking about your experience in music and how music was 40 years ago and how the government took it very seriously at that time, looking at the cropping up of such music acts, cropping up of music as a talent that generates income, do you think that at the moment we have a society which promotes music to propel people into a lifestyle rather of music, the talents?
Yes, right now there are so many associations running music as in festivals. We are also coordinated by the Permanent Presidential Music Commission. In this development, we believe that we will maintain music as our cultural activity to deliver message to the people, because in music we cut across the borders of ethnicity. Like in Muungano, the songs that we do cuts across the country. That means it is a cultural activity. We would only wish that through PPMC we continue to develop, especially choral music, to be much stronger than even what it is today, because it is a medium of communication to the populace.
Okay. And in line with that, we have another interesting aspect, the aspect of management in terms of music groups and in terms of managing issues to do with artists. Because, you know, having been with your experience rather for the last 44 years, I am looking at a person who has been able to grow in music alongside his other career. So, in the recent times, you've been seeing a lot of artists being mismanaged, artists being subjected to some things that normally don't really grow them, and then they end up dwindling away either into drugs or into depression or something like that. So would you say that maybe there was something that you were doing that was able to keep you focused on your music and having to generate from it?
Thank you for your question. In running choirs to develop music in the country, there is a lot of challenge. And the challenge is all about the prudent management of choir organizations. Having seen this challenge, at Muungano we carefully and deliberately decided to choose a model of choir management which is a little different from other choir groups in Kenya. When we started, and for close to 30 years or 32 years. We were led by a committee which was actually under the director of the choir. When the longest serving director passed on, we still maintain the style of management of the choir. But when the late Boniface Muganga passed on, then we realized that it would not be the same kind of administration. And if we were not careful, then we were going to lose the choir as an institution. So soon after the burial of Boniface Muganga, it took us about 1 year and few months to regroup and choose how we want to move forward. And we decided that unlike many choirs, we will not have a choir director. Very interesting, and many people don't understand how we are operating without a director. And every other time, one wants to address me as a director because I am the coordinator of the choir. Or sometimes many people want to address the chairman as the director. Neither of that fits in Muungano National Choir. We have decided to have two-tier level of management. We have an executive office and we have an office of technical trainers. And we have decided that all technical trainers are equal in power. So nobody can dictate to the choir what he wants to be done. But at any given time, for the purposes of music, having the technical team of trainers, it is up to the technical team of trainers to choose who is going to be their lead trainer. And once we pick the lead trainer, then he is the one we front to conduct the choir at any given occasion. So at Muungano, we have a technical team bench with its leadership. That leadership means the bench is under a technical team lead trainer. And then administration, you have the chairman and the team, the executive office. And that is where you find me as the coordinator. I'm also a technical team trainer. But when it comes to the organization of the choir, then Engineer Cody, you will be told, is the Muungano National Choir coordinator. And that is how we run our choir. Having learned what the solo directorship can do to singing institutions, most people take the choir as their own tool. That is not what we cherish in Muungano. And that is why many choirs go the way you have seen and you expressed.
Interesting. And now to a matter that is equally as important as your management is the issue of the youth. We have interacted with your training, your members of your choir,
Yes.
and we noted a very, and I wouldn't say it's a worrying trend per se, maybe it's because we haven't seen everyone, but where are the youth?
Muungano National Choir has its rules. There is a class in age group that can form the membership. And that class of age group is specifically above 18 years old, and the limit is as far as your voice can still maintain you in the choir. So in the choir, I think the youngest would be around 23, 24 in Muungano National Choir. So if you only met old men like me, perhaps you could go back to the clips of 12, the 60th year celebration at Uhuru Gardens. You will find a young man of about 23 soloing a patriotic song which we sang in early 1980s. He did lead the choir together with me soloing, which means we are also working to pass over the mantle to the youth.
Oh, interesting. So now, on a lighter note, could you tell me like one or two of your best moments which you have seen during your time at Muungano?
The best moment?
Best of your moments.
The best of my moments.
Yeah.
There are many that I would not be able to choose because Muungano National Choir successes is not limited to Kenya. The choir has traversed the world. In 1984, the choir represented the region and was part of the few groups which represented the continent in the Indian Ocean Music and Cultural Festival in Perth, Western Australia. That was historic for the choir. And by the way, it still stands out because that was the first opening for Muungano National Choir going out of the country. Many other choirs has followed behind to travel out of the country, inspired by Muungano National Choir having frequented festivals across the world. Muungano National Choir has traversed all the continents. The choir has been to Australia, the choir has been to US, the choir has been to Canada. Muungano National Choir has attended World Music Symposium in Netherlands. It has attended festivals in France. Muungano has represented the region or Africa in Vienna festival and symposium. We have gone to Italy. We have gone to Belgium. We have been to Spain. And in the year 2000, on the 2000 year celebration of Jesus Christ's birthday, Muungano National Choir represented Africa to attend the 2000 birthday of Jesus Christ in Holy Land. That was the peak of my to answer what you asked.
That sounds like you've been everywhere in the world, which is
yes.
good. Yeah, awesome. So now, I guess we are pretty much through with what we were doing, and now I would like you to do something for us. You could maybe solo one song for us. The one song that you think Kenyans really flow with.
We are here, where do we want to go to? Yes, first before we do that, having known that Muungano National Choir has traveled a long path to reach here 44 years down the line, the Muungano National Choir is still strong with very sound leadership. We have our chairman called Mr. Joseph Mzuki, and the lead technical trainer is Major Amon Mwanyuma, with myself as being the coordinator. We are currently planning to even walk a stronger path from where we have come from. And we are planning activities. Next year, we want to celebrate 45 years of the being of the Muungano National Choir as an institution, which has inspired so many other choirs to spring up. We have so many members who have come out of Muungano and formed various choirs and music groups outside there. We respect them, and we cherish what they are doing there, having come from Muungano National Choir. So with this being almost the oldest choir, an independent choir in the country, we are planning to celebrate the 45 years of the being of Muungano National Choir in Kenya as a country. And we are also planning to trace back our footsteps and move forward. And therefore, we are also planning to start representing our country and perhaps the region to international music forums and festivals starting 2024.
So essentially, you're back on the scene, in the international scene,
Yes,
in full swing.
yes.
Okay.
Muungano National Choir is a permanent member of the World Music Federation Council. So we want to get back there and claim our position. That would still keep us in the map, or us as Kenya. You know, Kenya is known for games like athletics. And other games. Kenya was known for good music and quality music in Africa and the world, to the point that Muungano National Choir recorded classical music in 1992 under Philip Classicals, title called Misaluba, which ranked number 2 in classical music in the world, according to the Billboard of USA. I have seen from the first president to the current president, and I've sung for all of them. I sang during the President Kenyatta. I started singing during national occasions in 1976, 77. And in 1978, the first president passed on, and I sang in his burial. The second president came, I sang in his burial. The third president came, I sang in his burial. I sang for him during the national days, and I again sang during the burial and requiem mass services. So during the 4th president, I've also sung in the national days. In the 5th president, I don't have to say much, but I was there at the Uhuru Gardens, and maybe, perhaps that is why you saw me to come here and start talking to me. So I have been there through all the transitions that we have had in leadership in Kenya.
Wana Kenya wote tunashangilia, sote tunaimba kwa furaha tele, twapaza sauti za upendo, amani, umoja. Twapaza sauti za upendo, amani, umoja. Mkono kwa mkono, sukumana mbele, nao wale wanaoamini uongozi bora ni baraka yake Mwenyezi Mungu. Uongozi bora ni baraka yake Mwenyezi Mungu. Ngoma na tucheze, inanda tupige, filimbi na zeze, tunashangilia. Sauti nyikani, ndege wanaimba, wanyama wacheza, ni mshangilio. Kipenzi changu, mimi nimeapa na milele, nitakufa na wewe Kenya kipenzi, hakuna mwingine duniani. Kenya kipenzi, hakuna mwingine duniani. Nami naliapa kwa ulimi wangu, mate nikatema tu, na uchungu wa mwana. Kenya kipenzi, hakuna mwingine duniani. Kudharau au kukutukana kamwe siwezi. Kenya kipenzi, hakuna mwingine duniani. Ngoma na tucheze, vinanda tupige, filimbi na zeze, tunashangilia. Sauti nyikani, ndege wanaimba, wanyama wacheza, ni mshangilio. Ngoma na tucheze, vinanda tupige, filimbi na zeze, tunashangilia. Sauti nyikani, ndege wanaimba, wanyama wacheza, ni mshangilio. Wana tucheze, vinanda tupige, filimbi na zeze, tunashangilia. Ndege wanaimba, wanyama wacheza, ni mshangilio. Ngoma na tucheze, vinanda tupige, filimbi na zeze, tunashangilia.